We've always wondered why Roger entrusted Ace to Garp, a Marine and his rival, instead of his loyal right-hand man. But what if Rayleigh had raised Ace instead? How would that change Ace's fate and the world of One Piece? Before Roger's execution, he asked Rayleigh to protect his unborn child. After Roger's death, Rayleigh found the baby after his mother died and knew this was the Pirate King's son. He named him Ace and raised him with Shakuyaku near Sabaody, keeping him far from the Marine's eyes. Ace grew up fast, listening to stories about his father and always asking too many questions. When Ace turned 5, Rayleigh brought home the 3 Boa sisters after Fisher Tiger freed them from Mary Jawaz. The eldest was Hancock at around 16 years old. Rayleigh began training the sisters, who were incredibly motivated to get stronger. Ace wanted to train too and copied everything Rayleigh did, forcibly including himself in the training. The backyard became a battlefield of broken wood, and Ace got punched a lot, but he kept getting up. They all trained and laughed together, slowly getting stronger. 2 years passed, and despite being a little boy, Ace had begun to show a sliver of hockey. By age 18, Hancock had grown much stronger than her sisters. Ace kept chasing her strength, wanting to catch up, but she was older, taller, and better at throwing him into the dirt. Ace called it rivalry, she called it annoying, and Rayleigh called it progress. Then Hancock finished her training and returned to Amazon Lily, with Ace promising to catch up someday. Ace kept training harder, running more and punching faster. Rayleigh gave him real sword lessons, and though Ace was decent, he always preferred his fists. When Ace turned 10, he saw a nobleman abusing a slave and stepped in, getting beaten for his arrogance. Right before Rayleigh could intervene, Ace let out a burst of Conqueror's haki that left the man foaming at the mouth. Rayleigh quickly took Ace away before anyone found out. Rayleigh brought Ace to Amazon Lily to train among dangerous creatures. Hancock messed with him for being small, but was happy to see him despite her hatred for men. By age 17, Ace had mastered all forms of haki, including coding his punches in Conqueror's haki. When Hancock returned from her warlord duties, Ace challenged her to a serious fight. They clashed with haki-wrapped fists and sparks flying. The ground cracked and trees split as Hancock used everything in her arsenal. But Ace overpowered her with Conqueror's haki-coated fists. After hours of fighting, Ace stopped right before landing the final punch. Hancock kicked him in the chin for grinning before helping him up. He had finally crossed her. Rayleigh threw a party, and the next day, Ace bid everyone goodbye and left to make a name for himself. Over 3 years, Ace fought sea kings, crushed pirate crews, and helped people everywhere. His crew grew with an ex-Marine cook, a sleepy sniper, a thief who stole from slave traders, a talking bear, and other weird but kind people. They became the Blackfist Pirates, and Ace was known as Blackfist Ace for using advanced armament or Conqueror's haki-coated fists. Meanwhile, Luffy began his journey wearing a straw hat. During those 3 years, Ace sailed into Wano, where the land felt heavy with hollow-looking people and poisoned rivers. He met and befriended Tama before raiding Onigashima to rescue abducted children and cause chaos. Ace crossed paths with Yamato, who challenged him out of boredom. Yamato attacked first with a giant club, and Ace blocked with his forearms. They fought with Yamato's wild strength clashing against Ace's sharp strikes. During the scuffle, Yamato broke the dragon statue at the island's entrance to show disdain for Kaido. Ace left a mark on the statue and took responsibility. Afterwards, they became friends as they drank sake together. Ace asked Yamato to join them, but Yamato said the shackles were explosive. Ace focused his haki on the mechanism, and the shackles dropped. Yamato stared at the ground, then looked at Ace and followed him without saying anything, joining the crew free from the chains. The crew adjusted quickly as Yamato fit right in. Word reached Kaido that his home was raided and Yamato was gone, but Ace was long gone by then. One day, Ace and his crew landed on a small island to gather supplies. During the night, Ace and Yamato felt a huge blast of Conqueror's haki. A few crewmates dropped before Ace and Yamato released their own haki. The clash drew birds from the sky, and then someone started laughing. A red-haired pirate with one arm stepped into view. Ace recognized him as Shanks, one of the 4 emperors. Shanks smiled and sat down, explaining he knew about Ace through Rayleigh. They talked all night as Shanks shared stories of Roger and talked about Luffy, a kid from East Blue he gave Roger's straw hat to. Ace's brow twitched as he had only heard rumors of a rising crew called the Straw Hat Pirates. Elsewhere, Luffy arrived at Sabaody Archipelago. The crew fought a celestial dragon, blew up half the shopping district, and invoked an admiral. Despite Rayleigh's help, Bartholomew Kuma appeared and sent each Straw Hat flying to different islands. Luffy was sent to Amazon Lily, where he met Hancock. After the chaos, peace returned when Hancock realized she could trust Luffy. Days later, Rayleigh arrived and told Luffy his crew was alive. He began training Luffy like he had done with Ace before. One day, Ace's ship appeared. He had come alone since his crew would not be welcome on the island. By this time, Ace had garnered a reputation for being incredibly strong. Rayleigh told Luffy to sit down and explained how he had met Ace. Then told Ace how Luffy had arrived by accident, punched a celestial dragon, and caused chaos at Sabaody. Ace let out a sharp laugh and chatted with Luffy, getting to know the boy he had heard about from Shanks. He watched Luffy's training and saw the same fire he once had, the kind Rayleigh saw in Roger. Ace liked him. Later, Ace told Rayleigh about his journey, crew, battles, and how he met Shanks and escaped Wano with Yamato. When he spoke of Wano again, his voice turned colder about what Kaido was doing and how he wanted to do something about it eventually. While Ace was still there, a storm rolled in with a marine battleship. Admiral Sakazuki arrived because the government learned learned Ace was on the island. He told Hancock that harboring Ace was betrayal, and if she did not hand him over, they would revoke her warlord status and endanger Amazon Lily. Hancock was angered and turned the Marines into stone, but Sakazuki was unaffected. His magma began blazing as he readied for a fight when Conqueror's haki hit him. Ace leaped onto the deck with his gaze locked on Sakazuki. He did not plan on hiding or putting his loved ones in danger. Sakazuki said this was treason, but Ace raised his fist as black lightning crackled around it, his arm glowing with armament haki layered with Conqueror's haki. Sakazuki moved forward with lava, but Ace moved faster, meeting the lava midair. A deep shockwave burst from the clash as the water shook. The Admiral staggered back with lava dripping where Ace's fist had struck clean through the magma. Rayleigh arrived and reminded Sakazuki this was not a good place for a battleground. Sakazuki realized he could not take all three and backed down. He told Hancock to free his men, but stated this would not go unpunished. Hancock complied and Sakazuki left. Ace left not long after, having befriended Luffy. A year and a half passed and Luffy's training with Rayleigh finished. His haki had grown by leaps and bounds and he had added to his arsenal. When he left Amazon Lily, he was not the same boy who arrived. Soon, the warlord system was abolished. The Marines had gotten their hands on new weapons called the Seraphim that were more powerful than vice admirals, perhaps closer to admiral level. This meant bad news for Hancock. The moment the announcement spread, her enemies moved. Sakazuki had been humiliated by Hancock and did not intend to leave Amazon Lily alone now that he had a reason to approach the place again. 3 Marine ships cut across the waters led by Admiral Sakazuki with 2 Seraphim, S-Snake, and S-Hawk. The Kuja warriors stood at the cliffs with Hancock in front. She knew this was coming with no warlord system and she was alone. Before the first cannonball could fire, another ship approached with Ace's Jolly Roger. Ace had heard of the abolishment and by this time was rising faster than most had seen. A pirate whose power was starting to rival even the Emperors and Whispers. Ace stood at the front with Yamato and the rest of his crew behind him. Hancock blinked once and smiled widely as Ace launched himself from the ship, his body spinning once in the air before his advanced armament, haki-coated fist, slammed down into the sea between the Marine vessels. The water exploded upward like a geyser, and one Marine ship split down the middle. Sakazuki raised his fist, already turning it into magma, but Ace was already there. Their fists collided as lava met haki, and the ship shook from the pressure. Sakazuki tried to push forward, but Ace was faster now, having gathered immense experience over the years, even fighting commanders from the Whitebeard pirates and Big Mom pirates. He ducked under a wide swing and drove a black uppercut straight into Sakazuki's gut. The Admiral stumbled back, coughing smoke. Ace did not stop, raining down a rapid burst of jabs, each coated in advanced armament haki. Sakazuki tried to guard, but the sheer pressure forced him to his knees. His magma flared, but Ace punched through it, striking clean and heavy. One more blow sent Sakazuki flying into the jungle behind the beach, and Ace followed after him. While the leaders clashed, Yamato moved in with his club as S-Hawk stood in front of him. They clashed with heavy strikes as the Seraphim dodged, countered, and fired a laser, but Yamato stood firm, coating his weapon in haki and blasting through the beam. His time with Ace had sharpened his instincts, and constant sparring made him even stronger. He pushed forward and, with a roar, knocked the Seraphim through a cliff ace using his hybrid form. The second Seraphim, S-Snake, moved toward the palace, but Boa stepped in with the Kuja warriors. It was odd standing against a clone of herself, but more of Ace's crew stepped up to support her. Together, they kept the Seraphim at bay, while Hancock used her powers to turn the Marines into stone. Sakazuki and Ace fought in the jungle, with Ace displaying strength beyond what Sakazuki estimated. Kobe tried to stop the fight, warning about bloodshed. Ace agreed, but Sakazuki tried to sneak attack him while he was distracted. Ace counterattacked with advanced Conqueror's haki, striking Sakazuki in the chest with thunderous force and sending him flying. Sakazuki collapsed, and Ace told Kobe to take his men and leave. The operation was called off, the Seraphim retreated, and news spread like fire that Ace had defeated Admiral Sakazuki. Amazon Lily now flew his flag, and he was possibly another Emperor of the Sea. Word reached Ace that Luffy was heading to Wano. Yamato wanted to help, and Ace agreed to finally liberate Wano. The raid on Onigashima began with a massive alliance against the Beast Pirates. Ace arrived as reinforcement with his crew. The chaos was endless, as Zoro carved through King, Sanji overwhelmed Queen, and Kid and Law chased down defenses. Ace told Luffy to handle Big Mom while he and Yamato dealt with Kaido. Luffy fought Big Mom using Gear 4, but his attacks struggled against her overwhelming strength. Big Mom created a storm of fire and thunder, turning the battlefield into a furnace. Luffy's Gear 4 ran out and he was sent to the ground. Law and Kid arrived to assist. Then something strange happened. Luffy's heartbeat pounded like drums of liberation. His hair turned white with white clouds surrounding him, and his eyes glowed red as he floated into the air with laughter. He'd unlocked Gear 5. Luffy grabbed the air like rubber, twisted the ground like putty, and inflated his fists to giant size, punching Big Mom through walls and slamming her into the sea cliffs. Meanwhile, Ace stood across from Kaido atop the dome. Kaido transformed into hybrid form and recognized Ace as the brat who had raided his palace and stolen his daughter. They fought intensely, with Kaido's Thunder Bagua colliding with Ace's coated Conqueror's haki, the impact parting the clouds above Onigashima. Both fighters bled, as Kaido's scales cracked from Ace's continued blows, but Yamato's support kept Ace going. Ace did not slow slow down, pouring everything into his next blows. Years of training, the strength of a child raised by legends, and the will of Wano's suffering. Kaido became a dragon and floated above, charging a bolo breath. Yamato threw Ace directly at his father, and Ace was launched with amazing speed. He tore through the bolo breath, through Kaido's guard, and hit him clean in the place Odin had scarred years ago. The impact caused the dragon to stagger, and both crashed into the ground. Ace kicked the dragon as he fell, causing him to go down faster, and positioned himself to land on Kaido with his fist. The massive strike to the head caused lightning to flow out in massive waves, and the impact sent Kaido crashing down through the dome, flattening the lower floors. He did not rise again. When the dust settled, Luffy stood breathing hard with gear, Fi fading, and Big Mom unconscious in the sea, while Ace sat beside Kaido's broken form, exhausted and bleeding. Two pirates raised in different ways had defeated monsters once thought untouchable. Luffy and Ace had become the new emperors of the sea. The Straw Hats continued their adventure, while Ace stayed to help Wano rebuild. Then Dr. Vegapunk broadcast that the world would sink into the sea, an event triggered by ancient weapons used in the Void Century. He confessed to seeking eternal energy and studying the forbidden history, alluding to a connection between the Clan of D and this coming event before his message was cut off. Ace realized something massive was about to take place, and that he needed stronger allies. With that goal in mind, he headed to Elbaf. The journey was rough, but when the massive island came into view, Ace saw fire in the distance and sensed something was wrong. As the crew docked, there were no giants to greet them. Ace rushed towards the sounds of battle and found Luffy in Gear 5 fighting Emu himself, who had taken over Gunko's body. The God's Knights had arrived to recruit Loki and gain the allegiance of the giants, but after Loki's refusal, they were forcing the giants into submission using children as hostages. They had taken out Scopper, and giants had been transformed into monstrous devils. Emu's presence let out a power nothing like anyone had seen before, like magic. Despite Luffy's strength, Emu seemed like the antithesis to his power, able to summon weapons, control beings with devil-like powers, and regenerate. Only advanced conquerors' Haki-imbued attacks could overcome the regeneration, and only Luffy and Loki could properly use it. Luffy was being battered by Emu, while only getting a few hits in when suddenly a shockwave appeared in the distance, approaching fast. In what seemed like a second, the black streak approached and Emu was hit hard with a fist that tore through his chest. Ace was standing next to Luffy. He told Luffy they would talk later, but first had to take down the being before them as Emu regenerated from the attack. Luffy explained Ace needed to use Conqueror's Haki to counter the regeneration, and Ace grinned. Meanwhile, Yamato appeared next to Zoro as he fought killing him, and the two began fighting together against the God's Knight. Emu's wings unfurled as black tendrils writhed from their back. Ace moved first, surging forward with Haki-wrapped fists and colliding with Emu's abdomen. Luffy dropped from the air with his hair flaring white, his massive foot crashing toward Emu's skull. The two pirates fought together in perfect coordination, landing blow after blow. Emu summoned transformed Dory and Broggy to attack them, but Zoro and Yamato arrived as backup to handle the giants after ending their fight with Summers. With their first mates handling the giants, Luffy and Ace were free to continue their fight with Emu. It was an astounding display as the two fought together in perfect unison, holding Emu back and landing blows while still suffering damage. Soon, Emu started panting, having used a significant amount of power in Gunko's body, and their forms started to flicker. Ace and Luffy were not going to let this opportunity slide. Conqueror's Haki erupted from the two like lightning as they raged forward. Both their punches connected together, and suddenly it seemed like Emu shattered. Gunko's eyes went white as she fell forward unconscious. Emu had been pushed back. The God's Knights were wounded, significantly damaged, and then shackled in sea stone. The pirates had saved Elbaf. The giants erupted in cheers, throwing Luffy and Ace in the air to celebrate. The battle had been won, but the war was far from over. Make sure to subscribe and smash the like button for more One Piece videos.